Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for joining this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class and attentive japa and, and happy Kadashi. So we'll make a start, and today we're talking about taking shelter of unalloyed devotional service. This is actually going on from Parveen Mataji's question about how do we go beyond the three modes of nature. So I was only able to explain, very briefly because due to the time, but now we can go into a bit more detail. We're talking about the same thing, but we can discuss it in a lot more elaboration now. And it's all starts with it's a conversation between Lord Krishna and Uddhava. So we discussing that. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said to Uddhav, the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, pertain to material intelligence and not to the spirit soul. By development of material goodness, one can conquer the modes of passion and ignorance, and by cultivation of transcendental goodness, one may free oneself even from material goodness. Therefore, that's the process. So, the Lord is explaining to Uddhav how we go about it. First, we have the three material modes, and then of them, the best is the mode of goodness. So, we try and get to the mode of goodness, and from there, we launch ourselves into transcendental or pure goodness. So, what do we first of all? So, first of all, we have to develop material goodness to free ourselves of passion and ignorance, because these are always competing with each other. So we need to really establish strongly ourselves into material goodness. And how we do that? So material goodness is a preliminary stage on the road to Krishna consciousness. But goodness in the material world never exists in a pure form. So this is the problem. So first of all, let's do a quick prayer, please. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So material goodness never exists in pure form. This is the problem. So it's common knowledge that on the material platform, no one is working without personal motivation. See, that's the thing. And in the material world, goodness is always mixed with some amount of passion and ignorance, because they're always competing, and there's always something there. It will never be completely pure. So those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. The mode of goodness makes us wiser than others and enriches us with material knowledge. This knowledge makes us feel superior and condition us to believe the illusion that life is very sweet, very pleasant. Srila Prabhupada says that as long as we are attached to working in this mode, which is the mode of goodness, we have to take some type of body under the modes of nature and remain bound to the material world and repeated birth and death. Okay, so this is the issue. If we are just completely in the mode of goodness, we keep coming back to enjoy that mode of goodness. And there's one more problem, which is that since it's clearly stated in Bhagavad-Gita that the material modes of nature constantly irritate, okay, one must take advantage of an elevated position in material goodness to step into the transcendental form. So we can't just be happy in the material goodness, because the modes, because they are always competing, the one will try to beat the other. So it's a very dangerous position to be in for too long. And of course, otherwise, as the wheel of time turns, one will again go into the darkness of material ignorance. So if you're in the material platform, there's a danger that you can fall back into passion and ignorance. And we've seen it. We've seen it with the great sages, that how easily you get attracted to passion, especially, and that passionate people can get into the mode of ignorance as well. So because there's a constant strife among the modes of nature, a person in goodness is sometimes torn by passion And a passionate person sometimes want to give up everything and rest. And ignorant person may sometimes become disgusted with his depraved life, so he can go up or down. And a passionate person may sometimes indulge in bad habits in the mode of ignorance. So some people go into drugs. You find with a lot of these actors, because they're so passionate about what they're doing, they're so active. And then this sometimes I mean, there's, you get in India now, everybody's coming out said, "Oh, I did drugs." So, it's very dangerous. From passion, you can fall down to ignorance like that. So, due to the interactive conflict of the modes of nature, one wanders throughout material nature, creating one body after another by one's own work, which is called karma. As it is said, variety is the mother of enjoyment, and the variety of material modes gives hope to the conditioned souls that by changing the material situation, their unhappiness and frustration can be turned into happiness and satisfaction. So, because they're always changing, that we have some hope that from ignorance we can move to passion, from passion we can move to goodness. So, that has this changing has its advantages. You're not stuck in one mode. They do tend to rotate, so we have the opportunity to change. But if you can go up, what goes up must come down again. This is the danger. So, but even if one acquires relative material happiness, that will soon be disturbed by the inevitable flux of the material modes. The key is to become strongly fixed in material goodness and combine it with religious principles. This is the thing. So, if you are in moral goodness, you have to combine it with something. You can't just be happy in material goodness, because by itself material goodness doesn't mean anything if it's not pointed towards focused towards God. It doesn't mean anything. So being strongly fixed in material goodness, what does that mean? Right, so when the living entity becomes strongly situated in the mode of goodness, then religious principles characterized by devotional service to me become prominent. So that's the sign. One can strengthen the mode of goodness by cultivation of those things that are already situated in goodness. So that's if you're in goodness, then you just try and do everything that is already in the mode of goodness, because that's guaranteed that it will make you more stronger, and thus religious principles arise. Lord Krishna here explains how one can be strongly fixed in the mode of goodness, which automatically gives rise to religious principles. And in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Lord Krishna elaborately explains the things that are in goodness, passion and ignorance, so we can choose. Thus, by choosing foods, attitudes, work, recreation, etc., strictly in the mode of goodness, one will become situated in that mode. So we have to change our lifestyle basically. The usefulness of Sattva Gun, or the mode of goodness, is that it produces religious principles aimed at and characterized by devotional service to Lord Krishna. And it says here, without such devotional service to the Lord, the mode of goodness is considered useless and merely another aspect of material illusion. So we have to have, if you want to move from material goodness to transcendental goodness, then you have to combine it with devotional service. That is the key. Religious principles strengthened by the mode of goodness destroy the influence of passion and ignorance. When passion and ignorance are overcome, the original cause, religion, is quickly vanquished. It's further mentioned there are 10 items for cultivating mode of goodness. So we're talking about changing our lifestyle. In Bhagavatam, it also explains that there's 10 things we can specifically also focus on to get strongly attached to the strengthened in the mode of goodness. So according to the quality of religious scriptures, these are 10 items. Quality of religious scriptures that you read: water, one's association with one's children or with people in general, the particular place, the time, activities, birth, meditation, chanting of mantras, and purificatory rituals. The modes of nature become differently prominent. So these 10 things, in whichever mode you follow them, will take you into that mode. So the 10 items mentioned above possess superior and inferior qualities and others identified as being in goodness, passion, and or ignorance. One can increase the mode of goodness by selecting religious scriptures in goodness, pure water, friendship with other persons in goodness, and so on. So they'll give you example here. One should scrupulously avoid any of these 10 items that may be polluted by passion or ignorance. So then it elaborates on one should study religious scriptures that teach detachment from mental speculation and material sense gratification, not scriptures that provide rituals and mantras to increase material ignorance, and such materialistic scriptures don't give attention to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus are basically atheistic. So anything that's teaching you how to increase your material life, how to make it better, then we should avoid those, because then we get more stuck into the material world. Then regarding the water, one should accept pure water for quenching thirst and cleaning the body. There is no need for a devotee to use colognes, perfume, whiskey, beer, which are all polluted manifestations of water. So pure water is recommended. One should associate with persons who are cultivating detachment from the material world, not with those who are material attached or sinful in their behavior. So that's the association. One should live in a solitary place where devotional service is practiced and discussed among Vaishnavas. One should not be spontaneously attracted to busy highways, shopping centers, sports stadiums, and so on. So a bit of change of lifestyle there as well. Concerning time, one should rise by 4 o'clock in the morning and utilize the auspicious Brahma Muhurat to advance in Krishna consciousness. Similarly, one should avoid the sinful influence of hours such as midnight. We should be all asleep, we should be in dream state or deep sleep by midnight, when ghosts and demons are encouraged to become active. It's normally recommended that we sleep by 10 o'clock and no later than half 10. Concerning work, one should execute one's prescribed duties, follow the regulative principles of spiritual life, and utilize one's energy for pious purposes. Time should not be wasted in frivolous or materialistic activities, of which there are now literally millions and in modern society. So we're talking about Facebooks and WhatsApps and just following this and that for no reason. So one can cultivate birth in the mode of goodness by accepting the second birth of initiation from a bona fide spiritual master and learning to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. One should not accept initiation or so-called spiritual birth in unauthorized mystical or religious cults in the modes of passion and ignorance. One should meditate upon the Supreme Personality Godhead as the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and similarly one should meditate on the lives of great devotees and saintly persons. One should not meditate on women and lusty women, it says here, and envious men. So we have to be careful what we meditate on. And concerning the mantras we should do, one should follow the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and not other songs, verses, poetry or mantras that glorify the kingdom of illusion, love songs and things like that, Bollywood. Purificatory rituals should be performed to purify the spirit soul, not to bring down material blessings on one's material household, which we are used to doing, have been doing from childhood. Seen our parents do that kind of thing. So yeah, we should try and avoid that. We should concentrate on the soul rather than anything else. So this is how to strengthen your mode of goodness. So by bringing in these things and also devotional service and chanting. So basically what we are doing, our lifestyle, devotional lifestyle we have, and following and avoiding impure things, we can become strongly strengthened in the mode of goodness. And then we have to jump from there. We can't just be happy with that. We have to jump over to pure goodness. This is what we want. And how do we do that? So Sri Prabhupada mentioned that cultivation of transcendental goodness to free ourselves from goodness. So free ourselves from goodness, which means that even goodness, three modes, they're all shackles, they're all gunas, they're all ropes that bind us. So even though we are in mode of goodness, we are still shackled. So we have to get out of that. Excuse me. So one who increases the mode of goodness will certainly become fixed in religious principles, and automatically knowledge will arise. As knowledge increases, one is able to understand the eternal spiritual soul and the supreme soul, Lord Krishna. Thus, the soul becomes free from the artificial imposition of gross and subtle material bodies caused by the modes of material nature. Spiritual knowledge burns to ashes the material designations that cover the living entity, and one's real eternal life begins. This way, the living entity can rise above the three modes of nature by the mercy of the Lord. So, we're doing our devotional service in a strong, enthusiastic way, and then we're relying on the Lord to pull us out. Because when you follow the Lord's instructions, then naturally He bestows mercy upon you. See what I'm saying? That you have to get the Lord's mercy, and the Lord gives His mercy when He sees that you are determined and you're sincere. He will bestow His mercy upon you. But you have to keep strong in your devotional service along with being in the mode of pure goodness. By himself, the living entity doesn't have the potency to give up his false identification with the material mind and sense objects. But by worshipping the Lord in the mood of being His eternal part and parcel servant, one is infused with the Lord's potency. So, when you connect with God, then you get His potency. I think Prabhupada gives an example of the rod and the fire. When a metal rod is put into fire, it becomes like fire. So, that's what we're trying to get, state we're trying to get into, which easily drives away the darkness of ignorance. Also in Shloka 14.27, this is the final text of that chapter, Srila Prabhupada summarizes Krishna consciousness activities. So one should always engage in the service of the Lord, should eat the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, see the places where the Lord had His transcendental pastimes, read the different activities of the Lord, His reciprocation of love with His devotees, chant always the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and observe the fasting days commemorating the appearance and disappearance of the Lord and His devotees. And by following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities and follow the fasting of Ekadashi like today. So we are putting the metal rod into the fire. Metal rod is mode of goodness, but you have to put it in the fire so you can become fire, you can become transcendental. So a sadhaka or practicing devotee desires to transcend the three modes by the constant practice of devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master in the guru-disciple system, or parampara we're talking about. So that is the way to do this, and example is also given in Shloka 14.21. Arjuna asks three questions important for devotees who want to transcend the modes. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, this is in the Bhagavad-Gita, O my Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What's his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature? So Lord Krishna answers here what we've been discussing. Lord Krishna answers to these three questions in the text following, then from 21, 22 to 25, form the complete philosophy of how one can transcend the modes of material nature and return to the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada expertly summarizes this philosophy in his commentary. So, answer to his first question, how does which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to three modes? So the first answer is transcendently situated persons have no envy and don't hanker for anything. They perform the duty in Krishna consciousness, indifferent to honor and dishonor. They have nothing to do with material existence. Social and political issues don't affect them. They do nothing for their own sake and everything for Krishna. So that is the highest level. And then it mentions that a devotee, the answer to question 2, a devotee in Krishna consciousness is not in association with the modes, is without false ego, and serves with great determination and enthusiasm, unwavering in success or failure. The influence of the mode vanishes when a devotee completely surrenders to Lord Krishna. So, how much we surrender, that's how much benefit we get, how much we become detached from the material platform. And thirdly, How do you rise to that state? Lord Krishna answers Arjun's third question, how one transcends the mode of nature. That is in text 14.26. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus becomes to the level of Brahman. To rise above the three modes of nature, we have to transfer our consciousness from the influence of the material modes to Krishna consciousness by practicing Bhakti Yoga. So that is the way. So just being in mode of goodness is not enough. We have to really heat that rod, metal rod that we are, in the fire of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we're in a very dangerous position. So I hope that explains a few things and makes a bit of sense. And this is what we're trying to do, isn't it? And this is what we're doing. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has taught us. He has invited us into the parampara, and that we're following the four regulative principles to be strong in our mode of goodness. But just by doing, if unless you chant, you can be in the four you can follow the four regulative principles, right? But if you know, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, you can do all those things and you can be in mode of goodness. But if you're not chanting and if you're not doing devotion service, that alone is not enough. It's not enough to take you out of the material platform, because you still be in the mode of goodness and you can easily fall back into a lower mode, because as mentioned, the modes tend to rotate and sooner or later some mode will grab you and it will take you back down again. Not saying that you can't come back up again. You can there are many people known to hit rock bottom and they'll come back, but still be bouncing up and down the three modes. If you want to get out of those three modes, then devotional service and chanting the Ma mantra, purifying ourselves from the material designation, it's very, very important. So that's the way. And now I would like to hear your reflections on this and see what you make. Anything you can add or any realizations you get from this. Who would like to start? Anybody wants to volunteer? Jai Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, I thought you were going to say something, Mataji. Not to worry. Partha Prabhu?
No, Prabhupada. It's a nice class, and I just want to listen to other people today first.
Okay, we have Sandeep Prabhu today. Maybe Sandeep Prabhu would like to add something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Nice to have you, Prabhu.
Yeah, wonderful class, Prabhuji. Yeah, nicely explained the three different modes. Yeah, really helpful, I guess, for everyone. Thank you for today's class, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Thank you for joining, Prabhu.
thank you.
Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Your the class was very interesting, and what I pick up is what you said about you can always slip down, and then you need to you need to again come up again, and I have experienced that, because when we were first come in contact with ISKCON devotees, there was 4 of them, and Partha Prabhu was one of them. He, his wife, Ram Prabhu and his wife, 4 of them, and there were other few devotees. We used to meet regularly every Friday with the Bhakti Viksha, and we learned everything from there, and it was so good. And then because they both moved away from Walsall, then we just slipped. I slipped. My husband also, I think, I'll leave him out. I'll talk about me. So I know that I was chanting a few rounds and everything, and then because there was no association, it was almost like I was lost. So it's so important. I really have realized the association and blessings of devotees and the mercy. It's so important. And this is something simple, but it's a big thing, and you don't realize how much value it is. Like again, Partha Prabhu, he again showed me something else, like chanting group and this and that, and then that's literally what I needed. It's just somehow Krishna through the devotees. When you really want to do something but you're not able to, or your willpower is not there, then through his devotees he somehow gets to you, finds a way and shows you. So I think it's such a big blessing to have all of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, very wonderful realizations, and yeah, excellent. Because Krishna does flow his mercy through the association of devotees. He doesn't necessarily do it directly. He will more likely to do it through the devotees. That's why it's very important to be a servant of the servant and serve the devotees who will, and the Krishna will bestow his mercy, which you have just demonstrated to me. Yeah, this is how it works. And chanting and devotional service is very important because that's like the glue that binds us to this. People who don't chant properly, who are not doing service, are likely to fall back down into the lower modes. So very important to be strong in our sadhana. That's the very important platform. You have to be very strong in your sadhana to keep out of the modes and then move on to the transcendental mode. Excellent. So, Parveen Mataji,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for choosing this topic. Yeah, it's all like a theory we understand, but it's a practical thing, and even like chanting, sometimes my mind just is distracted. So that's when you feel like, yeah, uncontrolled mind. We know, we've read in the Gita, it's your enemy. But sometimes, because even we surrender, we do everything right, and it's still not same. I can't really focus, just on chanting. So I really need to understand how to control my mind. So everything else, yeah, takes, but it's just controlling the mind where I struggle. So any more tips if anybody can give, how to control? So even like listening to the class, sometimes my mind just, I'm listening attentively, but still, like if I think, oh, what do I retain? Then it looks like, oh, I don't remember anything. So I don't know whether it's because it's transcendental knowledge, and so I don't know what else we need to do. Oh, it will come because I'm just trying to learn everything. So then, it will happen in some time.
absolutely. I think I mean you're doing very well. From I remember the time that you and Prabhu and Sandeep joined. You've come a long way. So
Mm,
you're advancing very well. You're doing very well. Maybe sometime we can
thank
expect
you.
too much of ourselves, which we should do. We
Yeah.
expect a lot. We should try hard. But it all happens with time. You have to. I mean, mind. You can't stop the mind. Mind is very strong, right? Mind is very
Mm,
strong. You can't. Uh, we can't stop the mind, but we can. But we must try. As long as we try,
mm,
Krishna sees that. He sees our effort and enthusiasm. Then he helps you. This is what we're saying. That without Krishna's mercy, a lot of things are not possible. Not the mind. Mind is like the wind. So it's not easy to control the mind. Even Arjun admitted that. But we have to be
mm.
seen to be trying. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And it gets better. It gets easier because
Yeah.
Krishna is bestowing his mercy. He's giving his potency because you're joining him. So
Mm, mm.
it becomes easy. I mean, we
Yeah.
everybody starts at that level.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, definitely we can see Krishna's mercy at every step, so through the Vaishnavas. So it's just the mind thing. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
yeah. I mean, this chapter 6 is all about the mind in Bhagavad Gita. Maybe sometime we can do a class
I'll
on,
read again. Yeah, yeah, or you can do the class. Yeah, that will be really good,
or
Prabhuji. Yeah.
just read that. Yeah, we'll try and do a class on it, and
Mm,
try and find some ways because everybody, not the same thing will work for everybody. Different things work for different people. So maybe we can find some methods that we can use to control and
mm,
try what works for us.
yeah.
But there's so many classes we've had on the mind. Mind
Yeah.
is a child that were uncontrollable. Or whether you're Prabhu or a Mataji, it does have his influence on us, and it does try to take us opposite to what we want to do. This is where the intelligence comes in. You see, you have to use the intelligence because we can't control the mind. You can't stop the mind, but you can. The intelligence is superior to the mind. You have to use
Mm,
the intelligence to control the mind, and for that, if you want the intelligence to control the mind, then your intelligence has to be strong, isn't it?
mm.
The intelligence has to be strong if it's going to control the mind, because mind is very strong. So how do you strengthen your intelligence? By reading Prabhupada's books. If you keep reading
Yeah, I was going to say knowledge. So knowledge will help intelligence. Yeah.
yeah, and come to like classes like we are having, we discuss this, and you read the books, then automatically your mind, your intelligence becomes strengthened because it understands things. You have become more intelligent through Prabhupada's book. This transcendental intelligence that will help you to control the material mind, and your mind will also become transcendental. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't control material by material. You can't control the material mind with the material intelligence. It won't work. To control
Mm.
the material mind, you have to use something transcendental, and you have to use
Yeah.
transcendental intelligence. And that transcendental intelligence will only come if you practice reading the transcendental literature. Purify your intelligence, make it transcendental, and then that will control the material mind. But it does
Mm.
take a lot of time and effort, which we have to
Mm.
putting it in whatever time we find we have to put in. But you have to remember that if it's not controlling, because we are using material intelligence, we have to use transcendental intelligence to control material. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Right. Sarveshi Mataji, are you there?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Okay.
When we leave our body or anybody leave their body, the mind, the intelligence, and false ego, they take another body. And these three modes of material nature, why we people are born of three modes of material nature? It depends on your karma, what kind of karma you're doing. If you are too lazy and didn't believe in God, then you will be born in mode of ignorance. Or you are too much sense gratification, then you'll born mode of passion. But if you believe in God and go to the temple and ask to pray, you will be born in mode of goodness. So it can be changed. Mode of it depends on the association. If you get good association, sometimes you don't look for association, but you get some sort of association. You go somewhere and see somebody going to the temple, you go with them, and then you start changing your material nature. But we can tell now what kind of whether people gonna be in the next life. It's according. If you are too lazy, you not believe in God, you'll be born in more mode of ignorance. If some people are how well nowadays it's sense gratification. So the most people are born in mode of passion. Very few people in a mode of goodness. But some people are giving charity and helping people. They mode of goodness. But Krishna said you have to transcend, you have to be in the transcendental position to go to back to Godhead. So you have to have devotional service and chanting Maha Mantra. So you be pure goodness. That's what Krishna wants. Not three much. He said to Arjuna, rise above Arjuna, three mode of material nature and be the spiritual nature, pure goodness. And that's how we can go back to Godhead and we have a better life. When we take our next life, we'll be in a probably pure goodness, or goodness is fair enough. We can transcend from goodness to pure goodness, but we don't want to go down below goodness. That's
Thank
what I can say. Thank you.
you. Nicely explained. Thank you so much. Jai Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I think, I mean, most of the points have been mentioned, but I
Sorry
want to
about
ask a question.
ask you first.
I want to ask a question today.
Okay.
Are you deciding why activities to situate ourselves in a particular mode, or are the modes actually influence us? So, I mean, I think Mataji said we're born with a mode, but I think we said modes are always competing. So, do we choose? Are we choosing the mode we're going to, or are the modes affecting us?
Yeah, I mean we are born in a certain mode. Some mode will be dominant to us, and that's according to our previous karma or desires that we are born in a particular mode. Yeah, so that is true. And also we can make changes to our mode. That's what we're saying that they recommended 10 things that I mean that's the whole idea, that just because you're born in a particular mode doesn't mean you're stuck in it. You can change your mode. You can go up or you can go down. I mean, for example, somebody in mode of passion, if he starts taking drugs, he's going to end up in a mode of ignorance, isn't it? Lazy, sleeping, not doing anything, totally useless person, and hallucinating. That's the mode of ignorance. And most of us are in mode of passion. We've come to Christian consciousness, and we're following the four regulative principles. That takes us into mode of goodness, and we're chanting. So, so it's both combination of both things. We are born in a certain mode, and then we influence our mode according to our lifestyle, how we live, and the society around us, and what kind of people we associate with. Very important. And those 10 things were mentioned, like what we drink, what mantras we chant, what books we read, what we watch. So it's so very important that because that affects our consciousness and takes into a particular mode or a mindset.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yeah, it does. But you said the modes are always competing. So we're born with a mode.
Yeah.
But why they're competing? I mean, why would it change? Is it because of your behavior and activities?
Yeah, I mean the modes are competing, but it's up to you whether you fall into it, isn't it?
Okay, I understand that. Okay.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
modes are always that you will get opportunities. Somebody might try and push you drugs. But if you're in a mode of goodness, you won't take that. The modes are, or sometimes you might get tempted if your intelligence is not strong. If that's what we're saying in this class, that even if you're mode of goodness, you have to be strongly, not just be mode of goodness, you have to be strongly, you have the strong standing in that mode, because otherwise you will fall down, because the modes are rotating, and when the time comes, there'll be like some temptation for you, and if you're not strong in the mode you are cultivating, you will fall into the trap. See, that they always enticing you, take this, take this, take this, and if you're not strong in your mode, you will follow, because Maya is very strong. Maya knows your weaknesses, and it will entice you at some points. And if you're not strong, if you haven't understood the scriptures, you're not doing a chanting properly to purify yourself, you will fall down. But we have the intelligence, we have the strength to, we can avoid the trap. That's the thing. This is what I'm saying. We have to build our transcendental intelligence to avoid the trap that Maya sets for us. We have.
But does Maya, affect everyone equally, or is because of our resistance we can counteract Maya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Babu, carry on.
Yeah, Maya does it? I mean, does it have the same influence on everybody, and depends on our strength to resist it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it will. I mean, after Prabhupada left, a lot of the big senior devotees fell down because they weren't ready for the attack of Maya. And it can attack anybody. It doesn't have to be a very big. You don't have to even be a sannyasi. Even the sannyasis fall down, Prabhu, from even that level. If you're not strong, or you let yourself a little bit loose, Maya can get you. I mean, we are on war with Maya. Now that we are trying to get away from Maya, we're trying to, jump onto the pure goodness. We are on war. We have declared war to Maya. So Maya is going to attack us. So we have to be prepared. You have to prepare yourself by strong chanting and strong knowledge, transcendental knowledge. So it attacks everybody. Anji, Parveen Mataji?
Yeah. Well, that was my question. I was going to ask you about Maya, but then Prabhu you started asking same thing. Yeah, that's good. So I've read that when you take to devotional service, then Maya attacks you as well. So is that written in the scriptures, Prabhuji?
Yes, of course. Maya is there. Maya is a devotee. It's a energy of the Lord. So Maya is doing its job,
So
especially.
is it to test us, or is it, so are we strong enough?
Yes, Maya is there to remind your real position. Sometimes we can get puffed up. We look in the mirror saying, yes, I'm a devotee now, I'm second initiated. And then Maya, it reminds you what you really are. It said that we know what we are when we are on own. It's all right me boasting in the congregation or in a association of devotees and talking big things, but we know what we are when we are on our own. You know, this is the thing. So Maya reminds us our true position where we are. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, no, because like I was okay, so I don't know because not that it matters really, because main thing is we just have to do a devotional service. Because when I was really serious, and that's when like I started having like health problems, and then because like before I used to do like um, Sankat Mochan and this and that, other stuff, and then I was thinking of is like Lord testing me that, and then sometimes I used to think, oh, do I need to do my Sankat Mohan because I'm facing all these problems which I never had before.
Mhm.
So is that Maya then really, testing you? Yeah, you're going to stay. Because I realize, yeah, it is important just to do Mahamantra, but then I was introduced to Narsim Kavach as well. We can do that for protection. But then sometimes I used to worry, is it really right to even ask for good health from the Lord? Because Lord gives us what is right for us, so we are paying for our karmas. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, we should ask for good health, because if we don't have good health, how are we going to do devotional service?
Yeah,
Without,
that's what I said. I said, please, because when I had operation, please, Lord, I want to do your service. So uh, I don't want to die, so I want to do service because now I've just woken up. Because, like I said to my sister today, she called me from India. I said, no, I've got a class now because every time, and she said, oh, Meri pen bhagat nahi ban gayi. I said, no, I've just woken up. So,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. We can ask for things, it's not a problem, but as long
Mm.
they are they are beneficial to our,
Just for devotional service, yeah.
yeah, as long as those things bring us closer. You see, that's the key. Whatever we're asking for, is it, we have to say to ourselves, is that going to bring me closer to Krishna, or is it going to take me away from Krishna? So
Mm.
everything that brings you closer to Krishna improves your sadhana, improves your bhakti, improves your chanting, everything, then you can ask, because that's taking us closer, and that's what we're trying to achieve, isn't it? We're trying to get closer to Krishna. But anything
Mm.
that's taking us away from Krishna, avoid that.
Yeah.
And we have been told that, well, we shouldn't be asking the demigods for anything. We ask Krishna.
Mm.
And
But we are still okay to say thank you because, like, I used to worship Durga Ma, so because I've still got the picture, so I just say thank you for, sending me to Krishna. So because I did Nishkam Bhakti even then, because I used to fast Navratri, but I never asked because I've never been materialistic anyway. So we've been on the right path, but it's not that I didn't know about the Supreme Lord before, because like I grew up in a small village and my father worshipped Durga Ma and we just followed. So yeah, so that's how I see, so they have just, Durga Ma has promoted me.
absolutely, yeah, you can thank the demigods. You say Brahma?
Yeah,
You say Brahma? Durga?
Durga,
Ah,
yeah,
Mata. Okay, Durga Mata. Yeah, I mean, she's Vaishnav Devi, isn't it? So yeah, of course we can thank Durga Mata. She is the sister of Lord Krishna.
yeah. Mm.
So yeah, definitely thank Mata. We can thank. I mean, we don't ask for boons and
No.
that, but we always thank them. I mean, to be honest with you, I every Tuesday I'm still doing Hanuman Chalisa, and I'm not asking.
Mm.
I'm not asking for anything, even though in the Chalisa, the one thing he says that don't ask anything from anybody else. Mahavir,
Mm.
will do everything for you. But at that point, I say, Mahavir, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking that I can become a servant like you for Lord Krishna.
Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, because the line comes और देवता चितना धरे, है ना? तो फिर then I always think as well, are we doing the right thing? So Because like Sandeep said to me as well, because he was getting a bit upset. He said, "Do you not miss Durga Ma? So you used to do so much." And my daughters, they got upset as well. You're not fasting. I said, "No, this is the promotion now. I do this." So I do a count. She said, "Oh no, but this doesn't feel right." They said. So yeah, children, they're trying to understand as well. So is mom gone crazy? She's not doing what she used to do before.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, thing is, we got plenty to do, haven't we, with our devotional service? There's so much to
Oh
read,
yes,
class,
yes,
so much chanting to
yes.
do
No,
today.
we're doing more than what we did
Right
before.
around.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I think we've got plenty to do. And the end of the day, everything we do, everything we eat, everything we give away, it's so everybody's trying to please Krishna. Even the demigods are trying to please Krishna. We have to remember that. And if demigods give us anything, they have to take Krishna's permission anyway. That's the way, because Krishna is the original, so Supreme Personality Godhead. So we have everybody's trying to please Krishna. So he's the main source of everything. So we serve him.
Yes. Yeah, Prabhupada has explained really well. So now I have read Gita, so it makes more sense. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, right, we're running out of time. Maybe Prem Prakash Prabhu, you would like to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanurshana. So, yeah, I mean, since we're running out of time, so not much to say, but yes, the nature, nurture, and cultivate, nature, nurture, and culture. Three things basically is there. Nature, as we already discussed, from the past life, we can't control, but nurture, we can. Nurture is to uh, cultivate. That's what we can do. We can know what is there, get the knowledge, cultivate, have a gyan yoga. Culture is to association. So more we associate with devotees, we will get more knowledge about what we're doing, blessings to progress. And ultimately whatever gyan we acquire, ultimately we need to give that up as well, because Bhagwan is Sarvapari basically. He is beyond Gyan to understand. Whatever we learn that we have to do this and all, everything. Ultimately, what will happen is that what he likes, we need to do. That is more important. Vedas can recommend many sacrifices and flowery language and all. That's good to bring us to a point where we start doing Krishna Bhakti. After that, when we have natural and spontaneous love for Krishna, nothing else, none of the knowledge that matters. The only thing that matters is that how much we love Krishna and how much we are able to execute what he wants us to do. That's the unalloyed loving service of Krishna. So that's something which there are a lot many things to discuss, very big topic to discuss, but I'll just keep it short.
No, that's fine. Very nicely explained, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Okay, well, thank you all for joining today. Apologize to anybody who didn't get a chance to speak. Maybe we can do some chanting now, because chanting is key for us. And thank you all so much. Thank you, Prabhu. Sandeep Prabhu, for sharing that shloka as well. And so who is going to start chanting? I think, is it Sarveshi Mati today to start, is it?
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Vasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravana Picharane Nirpise Saswani Abadi Paschata Desatarane Jai